we're talking about if dating is easier or harder for successful women.
Is dating easier for successful women? Um, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not a successful woman,
That's
but
how I feel too. But
I, I don't know.
it
Maybe,
feels like,
maybe not.
yeah, it's like sometimes it feels like, with women getting more money, more education, that's makes everything easier for women.
Yeah.
But if men aren't keeping up or men feel intimidated, that could make it hard.
You know. Yeah. I mean, essentially, I'm not saying all men are wired the same, but I would assume just because you say you're cool with your partner making more, or your wife or your girlfriend, it might tick your ego. It's got to, I don't know. Me personally, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but I could
I
see
get what you're saying.
I could see how a guy might, you know, just because
Yeah.
ego. It's all ego when it comes down to it. I mean,
I
if
wonder
someone
where,
works if someone works hard to be successful, whether it be a girl or a guy, it's like they deserve what they get. You know what I mean? Like, so you shouldn't let your ego come into play with that. I don't know.
what I feel that. I wonder what can guys do to still have a strong ego? Because I think a strong ego, that can be a good thing.
I would say a healthy ego more than a strong one.
Healthy,
Because a
that's
strong
the
one
word.
doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. Like, yeah, I don't know. I couldn't tell you because I'm not one of those dudes.
Well, that's
Me
are
and
you in
Jason always
a
unemployed work.
what
What's
did he
up,
say?
Jay? My buddy. I
Oh,
couldn't say, man. My buddy in the comments pretty funny.
oh. Do you earn
He says
more
he's
than
very
your
good with his girlfriend making bank.
does your girlfriend earn more than you?
No, I'm talking about him.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, he's sounds like a healthy guy. I mean, I personally, I usually will say what you said, which is I don't really care. Or not I don't really care, but I'm okay with it,
Yeah.
right?
At the end of the day, as long as no one feels like they're getting taken advantage of, then I mean, it shouldn't really fucking matter, in my opinion. It all depends on the person.
That's
But like I said, I mean, I definitely understand where a male ego, unhealthy one, could come into play and feel he's less than. But at the same time, it's like you shouldn't have gotten that relationship to begin with if that's the case.
well, that brings up a good concept, which is sometimes I think a successful woman could get in a relationship with someone who looks like they have it all. They have a great job. And then, something changes, they get laid off or they start a business or the dynamic can change.
Right.
So it's almost like you have to be looking to get into that relationship knowing that it's more than just what someone's occupation is.
Right.
Maybe that's obvious.
Because I'll be honest. I mean, I'm an electrician, but I'm laid off right now. So I'm looking for work. I make good money when I do make it, but when I don't, I don't. So why am I walking? Because walking is good for you. Sorry, I'm talking about chat. Why aren't you tapping? Is my question. I'll stop walking if you start tapping. How about that? The truck's at the house, man. Appreciate that.
Do you think people tend to pair up with people in the same occupation?
Um, I don't know. I know a lot of people meet at work. So that's a thing, but I think it's right on for the roses and hearts, man. I appreciate it. I think depending on what your occupation is, like if you're like, I don't know, into trades and stuff, maybe that's a thing. But I mean, sure, I'm sure like lawyers, stuff like that, doctors, because in the medical field, the hours are all weird. Fucking Jay,
I
dude.
I know what you're talking about.
But yeah. So what do you do on here,
It's
Sam? What's your
interesting
thing?
because on on TikTok,
Yeah.
well, I initially got on TikTok during COVID.
Oh, okay.
So it was that first month where we were all inside and I didn't know what to do. I was going crazy. And this is where everybody was at.
Yeah.
But now I'm trying to figure out dating is hard. And it's like, we talk about occupations. If I'm on an app or I think about my counterpart on an app, right?
Right.
Is she looking? I mean, I do stocks right now. Am I going to be looking for people who are in finance? Is she looking for someone who's in the same field as she is, or is that just something that used to happen naturally when
I feel as long as your
you met
hours
people
aren't like
in your literal physical office? I mean,
I feel as long as your
you met
hours
people
aren't like
in your literal physical office. I mean,
opposites, then it should work fine. It doesn't matter what field you're in, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I think the hours
I mean, I'm
piece is a good point.
yeah, because if you're like I said, if you're in the medical field and your hours are graveyard shift and your partner has a 9 to 5, that doesn't really match up too well. You guys are hard to see each other, and when you do, you're going to be exhausted. Oh, Jay.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I don't know, man. I think the hours are big, and then the dynamic of the ego is big too. I don't know
I also feel like
if
drive.
it's easier to date.
If someone's successful, depending on how they got their success, is a competitive factor as well. Like if they hustled and grinded and created their own company or their own kind of niche and made money like that, that's respectable. But if someone was just kind of born into money and just threw something at like an investment or something, I mean that's cool too. Don't get me wrong, but somebody like that might be, I don't know, less acceptable to somebody that works a blue collar 9 to 5 gig or something, Whereas someone that created their own success might be more appreciative of somebody that's like, grinding out there, grinding. But like, don't get me wrong, if you're a successful lawyer, you're not going to want to date some dude that works at Burger King. Nothing against Burger King, but it doesn't really match up.
Yeah,
I mean, you
it
can't, though,
doesn't, but
as long as they make you happy at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Money is secondary, but it plays a huge factor in living, obviously, at least in the United States.
no, but you bring up a good point that I don't hear talked about at all, which is trust. You might be dating someone who works at a bookstore, but they don't have to work at a bookstore. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's where it gets tricky.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, as long as you're happy doing what you like, I don't know. I mean, there's people that make 6 figures a year easy. They hate their jobs. There's people that work at fucking Walmart and are happy every day, just greeting people. So I don't know.
I think
Life is
people life is wild that people naturally sort of pair up. Like if you're starting a business and someone else is starting a business and you're a guy, she's a girl, whatever. That could work, even though on paper, like that does not seem like a good idea because so many businesses fail.
Hmm.
But the high-powered lawyer, she probably doesn't want someone who's starting a business.
No, but I mean, it all depends on what kind of atmosphere they're in too. I don't know, depending on how they met and stuff like that. I would assume like
They
I don't know. Never really been in that situation, so
No, I feel that they
can't
might have
really say.
no, but there's so many people out there. Like they might have met in a situation where, you know, the woman is a lawyer, she's a doctor, and her one of her parents started a business, so she kind of identifies with that.
Hmm.
Um, or they could have just met off of vibes, she was at a gym or, you know, I don't know where people don't, I don't know if people go meet at bars as much these days, but you can meet someone in places that aren't your work. And
Yeah, I don't. I think it just boils down to the person on both ends. Like, are you okay dating somebody that isn't as successful as you are, and vice versa? It all depends on the person. I think it's become probably easier than it is now because of the switch in the dynamic of women being just as successful, if not more, or whatever, in that regard. So it just depends on the person. I think as guys, we got to get used to the fact that, you know, more opportunities are given to women nowadays, and that's a good thing. And so, I don't know. I'll just take it as that. If you don't, if you're not comfortable
I'll
with
take it
somebody
as that too.
better than you, then don't be with that person.
It's almost like us guys have to, you know, catch up to what reality is, and it's taking us some time.
Yeah. Well, it's time.